So you all, if I told you that this is the only Burt's Bee chapstick in the world, would you believe me? If I told you, got so many interesting things on my desk. If I told you that this is the only whiteout, the only Bic cover-up fluid in the world, would you believe me? If I told you this was the only marmalade sent by our dear friend Philip to me, thank you, Philip, the only marmalade in the world, would you believe me? It's the only Philip marmalade in this particular batch, but it's not the only marmalade. And yet, so often when it comes to love, we interpret love as purely that romantic love that's in the world. We think love is romantic. And we think that if we're single by choice or not, that maybe something is wrong with us. And the truth of the matter is, just as this isn't the only Burt's Bees chapstick, and by the way, Bert, I met Bert. He's from Carver, North Carolina, right down the road. And he sold this company for a lot of money to Colgate down the road after he stood out and handed these out, right? Just like you said, this isn't the only Bix cover up, and you said this isn't the only marmalade in the world. There are many forms of love that are available to us. There's eros, what the Greeks called eros, the erotic love that our society thinks is the height of love. There's philia, which is the love of sisterhood and brotherhood. There's agape, which is the love of selflessness. And there's one other kind as well, and I'm not thinking about what it is right now, but I want to focus today on the fact that love is as prevalent. Love is as available to you and to me as marmalade, as chapstick, as air. So today is a day of celebration. It's Valentine's Day. By the way, in case you didn't know the Valentine's legend, he was in prison for a long time by himself. All right, let me just say that. Saint Valentine. But today is about how do we remove the blocks that we have placed against accepting God's love. And one of the biggest blocks we have put up is we think it needs to come in that erotic eros fashion. We think that somehow, when we have a soulmate, I personally believe we have many soulmates, but it's not necessarily a romantic thing at all. Like, I feel like some of you are my soulmates. You're across the country, but you're soulmates. We are soulmates. We all have that divine spirit within us. But when we believe that erotic love is love, then we've cut ourselves off from all the love that is everywhere. So that's our first block right off the bat. The second block I want to focus on today is the blocks that we create in our minds. The blocks that we create in our minds, the mountains we create in our minds, in which we somehow feel that we've been betrayed by the divine, that somehow we have been unsupported. It should have turned out different. Do you know what I'm talking about? That situation should have turned out differently. So we set up this mountain in our own mind, and we decide that we know it's a mountain. We decide that it's hard to get through. We decide that it's a struggle or not. So I want to tell you all that yesterday, the last 2 days, if I look a little tired, it's because I've spent about probably 30 hours in the last couple of days clearing out my brother's apartment. And you all know that he passed away. And yesterday, I just want to share with you, well, let me share with you one thing before this. When I thought about clearing out his apartment, I have to admit, I was not happy at all about this situation. I created a huge mountain in my mind. The mountain I created was, this will be so hard. And I know everyone here has lost someone, be it a pet or a person who you love, right? This will be so hard. I was telling myself that story. It's going to be hard. It's going to be emotional. It's going to be difficult. It's going to take all my energy. And then I realized that I had made myself miserable through that story of a mountain, what a mountain it was, and how high it was, and how hard it would be to go up that mountain. And I decided to take that mountain in my mind and dissolve it with the power of what Norman Vincent Peale would call the power of positive thinking. I told myself a different story. Well, you know, when I clear out my brother's apartment, I'm going to learn new things about him, and that's going to be a blessing. When I clear out my brother's apartment, I'm going to find some photographs that will definitely make me laugh. And I'm going to find some things that were from our childhood that are going to bring back a lot of nice memories. When I clear out my brother's apartment, I'm going to be honoring his memory. And that's what I want to do. Now, do you feel the difference in those two stories? The first mountain is a mountain of hell, right? I've just created hell on earth. Seriously. The second mountain was a mountain of heaven on earth. Be renewed by your minds, it says. Be you renewed by your mind. And so that second mountain, as soon as I created that one, it was a happy mountain. It was a mountain I wanted to climb. It was a mountain I could maybe not skip up, but at least I could have a smile on my face. Now, I don't mean that everything was easy, you all, because it certainly wasn't. And when I went in there that first time, I was not prepared for all that I saw, and it was way worse than I thought. On the way over there the second day, I was absolutely in tears. I wanted to get the tears out before I got there because I needed to be in emotion. I needed to finish this by 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That's what I had. That's the time I had been given. And that's when I had some help with friends and church folk. And so I quieted my mind and I said, all right, divine spirit, I'm listening. And the song I heard this time was not Marvin Gaye. Today we're going to talk about that song, but it was You Raise Me Up. Do you know that beautiful song? You raise me up to all that I can be. You raise me up to all that I can be. And all that I am and all that you are is the love of God. That's the very matter out of which you and I are created. The love of God. And I knew that all I needed to do was go within and listen to the love of God in me, and all would be well. And I'll tell you that a number of little things happened. One of the trucks didn't get there. The person got lost. Another person who I actually hired, most people who are helping me were just there to be wonderful people. But one person I'd hired last minute had to take care of his kids. And so last minute, I just said, okay, God, this will all work out. And do you know, at 5:10 p.m., we all pulled out the last load. I took something special to the property manager who had been a love, unlike the others who had not. She had been a love, and I took her a set of dishes. And she waited just 10 minutes late for us. She said, go ahead, you've got till 5:30. But we were out of there about 5:10, 5:13. And driving back, I just said, thank you, God. We're never deserted, you all. We are never alone. There's no one here alone on Valentine's Day. You are absolutely loved. And when you just take a moment and go within, you'll feel that expansion that is love. And you know that there's so much there, and it can never be exhausted, ever. And when you decide, and I do use the word decide, down the road that you will release the rental car that is your body, because it is a rental, by the way, you all, we're all going to have to turn it in. When you decide to release that rental car that is your physical form, your dense physical body, then your love will be absolutely made infinitely real. There will be no question for any of us. There will be no separation for any of us from divine spirit. The mountains are the mountains we create, not the mountains that are created by spirit. The mountains are us thinking Eros is the most important. The mountains are the judgments we make of the situations in our lives and the meanings that we ascribe to them. This isn't right. This is so hard. This is so difficult. Well, how about telling yourself a completely different story? Isn't that really what it means for us to move mountains? To command the power of God? And we know through affirmations and denials and unity, we command the power of God. We command the power of God and the substance of God. I deny that death separates me from my brother. I deny and rebuke it. I affirm that I am connected right now, and even more powerfully than ever before, to my brother. That's just one example of a denial and an affirmation. Today, in the play shop, and maybe we do have a lot of joy in the play shop, you all, but we do some really serious delving. Today, we're going to find something or someone who you're judging, and you will leave there with a completely different and freeing interpretation that comes from love, not fear. Today, you will leave loving your pecadillos. I think that's the way to pronounce that. Isn't that a great word? Your little sins, your little faults, those things that make you who you are. Today, I'm going to show you a way that everything you list as your shortcoming is actually one of your greatest strengths. You do not want to miss today. Each of us is charged not only to move mountains within our own lives, but we're charged to move the mountains of hatred that are showing themselves in our society. We're charged to heal the disharmonies. We're charged to see the inside of all people. And no matter what their actions have been, inside is that divine spirit. We are made in the image of likeness and likeness of God. You are made in the image and likeness of God. That person who gets on your nerves is made in the image and likeness of God. And spirit does not create mess. So today, when you come, I can tell you that in the time we have together, notice I said when you come. I didn't say if you come. Today, when you come, I can tell you that as you leave, you will have given yourself the greatest Valentine you could ever give yourself. And you will have given the world the greatest Valentine that you could ever give the world. Love starts right here. And people who love themselves do not hurt other people. People who love themselves cannot hurt other people, because we understand that the scripture, love your neighbor as yourself, is really saying love your neighbor as yourself, because when you love your neighbor, you are actually loving yourself. When we love, let me repeat that. Think about it. Love your neighbor as yourself. People say, oh yeah, treat other people good. The golden rule, yay. But I'm saying love your neighbor as yourself is saying love your neighbor because your neighbor is you. Your neighbor is you. Maybe you don't understand them. Maybe they play loud music. Maybe they stomp around and wake you up when you're trying to take a nap. Maybe their dog comes over and leaves things in your yard. They are still your neighbor, and love your neighbor as yourself. You yourself are loving yourself, loving your neighbor. So that being said, I want to just read you the words to Ain't No Mountain High Enough real quickly, and then we'll have Guy play that, just play us a nice verse of that after I read, or actually, yeah, let's do it that way, Guy. I think I'll read it and then you can play. And
Okay.
while he's playing, I would like you to bring up in your mind the situation, the person that is causing you stress right now. And I want you simply to send them the message, I love you, just as you are right now. I love you just as you are right now. Okay? We'll do that while we listen to the music. But let me read you these words. I love this song. Who loves this song? Let's hear a heart. See your heart in your reactions. Who loves it? Or just wave. I've always loved this song and love Marvin Gaye.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Listen, baby, I'll sing and then you play, Guy, okay?
Okay.
I mean, I'll not sing. I do sing, but I'm not singing today. I'm gonna read it to y'all.
All right.
Listen, baby, ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough, baby. If you need me, call me, no matter where you are. Don't worry, baby, just call my name. I'll be there in a hurry. You don't have to worry. There ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, baby. Remember the day I set you free? Think about that. Think about that in the light of spirit. The day I set you free, the day you were born. I told you you could always count on me, darling. And from that day on, I made a vow. I'll be there when you want me, some way, somehow. Because, baby, there ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, baby. No wind, no rain, no winter's cold could stop me, baby. Because you are my love. If you're ever in trouble, I'll be there on the double. Just send for me. My love is alive way down in my heart. Although we're miles apart, if you ever need a helping hand, I'll be there on the double just as fast as I can. Ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, baby. Makes me think of, though I walk through the valley of death, I will not be afraid. There's no valley, there's no mountain that would keep us from that spirit. So, how about for a second you focus on that person or that situation that's bothering you, and just in your mind say, I love you just as you are right now. And notice that as you send that love to that person, what happens to your own heart? Your own heart opens wide. You are love. It's who you are. And let's move the mountains in our minds so that we can be 100% the hands, the eyes, the ears, and the mouths of love on this planet. I'll see you this afternoon. And I like to think of that at the end of the prayer of protection as, and all is swell. So thank you, Divine Spirit, for being here with us, for coming through for the highest good of all here. And we know and affirm that each of you is a beautiful fire of love, sharing it concretely today, calling the people you love, sending up prayers for the people you love, leaving gifts of marmalade on their front porches, whatever you feel led to do, so that every single person and animal on this planet knows they are truly loved. And so it is.